That makes a huge difference, okay?
Right.
So having it snug can be the difference between her listening at 20 and then her listening at like 75
Yeah.
because of that space and the fur and stuff. If you're ever working with her, maybe you find yourself you're at 80 and you're tapping and you don't see a contraction, you should most definitely be seeing a contraction at 80. It
Tight.
means there's no contact. We adjust it, make it more tight, pull down the loose skin, check, and then dip back down again to about that 15, 20.
Yeah.
Once you get the right fit, you're gonna start noticing consistency right off the bat, okay? So then if I know her range is typically between 25 and 35, once I fit her, before I start everything, I have to do a tap, bump it, 20, maybe I go to 32, tap, and I see this response, and I go, okay, cool, you felt it, now we're gonna start to walk. Okay,
Yeah.
because I'm starting right at that number. I think in the beginning, I may have told you like you wanna work your way up till you find that number.
Yeah.
So then it's like you're doing research. So let's say every day you end up going to 35 or whatever, before you notice Pepper start being more well behaved, then I know most likely her range is just around 35.
Yeah.
So then after a few days of that, then I just start off right at 35 as opposed to building up, because then she learns to play with that time frame where you're going from like 10 to 35 and she'll dilly-dally do all those things, and all of a sudden it's like, okay, now I gotta listen because mom's at 35.
Right.
And we want to get that number right off the bat, right off the bat once we start to walk. Okay? So I would suggest when you go for your walk, let's say tomorrow, or your whatever your next walk is, right? Like just think, okay, I know we did this. She can do it. I just need that number,
Yeah.
and then you make it happen, and I make it happen very quickly. So if I do a correctional turn, right, and she comes over here and she forces again, I'm gonna be like, you've been doing this for 3 weeks now. You know this, I bump it, boom.
Yeah.
And then maybe you hit 45, and then it's gonna be just like at Oz Park that one time where it's like, oh wow, like
Yeah.
she's on me, right? Because the auto sits thing that you said that she's not doing as well is also tied to that.
Okay.
Because if she's not respecting the command in whatever environment you're in, the auto sits is part of that.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden when you hit the right number, she's gonna go, oh, I remember now.
Oh, suddenly, yeah.
Yes, okay. So it almost always comes down to the number.
Yeah.
So when she passes you, you are doing the correctional turn, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
And are you finding yourself doing a lot of them?
yeah, like today, I probably, like, throughout the day, I do it like 3 times.
Okay, that's not too bad, but at this point, you really should be at none.
Yeah, I was like, why?
Yes, so at this point, you should be at none. And your number was 30?
Yeah, I probably got to like 35 or so.
And what did you start at?
Probably 20.
20?
Yeah.
Okay. So next walk, 35.
Yeah.
Just start with 35. Okay. So let's say you end up doing corrections and you land at 45, and then all of a sudden 45, you're like, oh wow, I just turned once and I walked, here and back, no problem.
Right.
Then the next day, 45, and you notice, wow, no turns, and 45, no turns, 45, no turns. Then it's like, there is your magic number. Okay.
Yeah.
Her number is going to be different with you than it would be for us because of the relationship. Like we don't coddle her here.
Yeah.
We don't do, affectionate type stuff
Yeah.
where we cuddle with them and everything. We're here, we're about structure, we walk them and all that stuff. So for her, we're like teachers.
Right.
So she's like, okay, cool, I'm at school, so I'm gonna be in this mindset. But when she's home with you, she's got more of that buddy, friendship type relationship. But then at times you need to be authoritative, and that's what's conflicted.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So we just, I just address that through power.
Yeah.
Okay? Other questions?
Also on our walk, I think on Sunday, just walking through the neighborhood, and like a little dog came out of their house with a boy. He was like just dragging it, but their house had like a front fence. But so the dog immediately came out and was like right there at the fence, and it was at the same timing that we were walking by.
Mm-hmm.
And this dog started just like, and then Pepper like is in full like reactive mode of like attack.
Yep.
Obviously, like she can get to the dog because of the fence.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's like a metal fence, but like I, immediately dialed, and like she got corrected and like she understood. But like, how do I prevent that from even like happening in the first place?
Okay, so when it comes to surprise, so with reactivity, it's a spectrum. Typically, reactivity towards humans is the first thing that always goes away. Then it's reactivity towards calm dogs, then excited dogs, puppy type energies in the middle. Other reactive dogs is typically next, and then sudden run-into dogs is end of spectrum, because it's just corner and then dog barking, right?
Yeah.
It's so off, how do you say, so just out of the norm that it's the hardest to address because you can't plan for it.
Right.
Okay? So when I do with my really reactive cases, I'll tell the owner, assume that you're gonna see a dog when you cross the corner and preemptively already jack it up. So when you turn that corner, if there's a dog, you're already at 95.
Yeah.
Right? Because the sooner you stop it, that's what helps the dog. So then the next time when they turn the corner, they just think it's 95 and they're like, they just go into avoidance mode. Okay?
Right.
And in your case, that was a fence thing, right? Like you don't know whose fence is gonna have a dog.
Yeah.
But you know, if you ever had an issue with turning around corners, that's how I resolve that. I just assume. And since we teach dogs on the left, let's say I'm gonna make a right around the building here and I can't see, I fan out this way so I can have a little bit more space as opposed to turning right at the end of the building and potentially being, you know, confronting a person there, right?
Right.
If I'm turning left, then I fan out this way because the dog's gonna be in the inside. And then when I turn around, it gives me more space or vantage point to see like what's coming behind the building. But preemptively, I'm already way up high.
Yeah.
Like I'm not 30 to 45. I'm like 75, 85, 95, depending on the case.
Right.
Because you're just trying to immediately cut it out.
Right. That spectrum is really interesting because, for instance, like if I see a puppy that we're gonna pass, she has never had a problem with a puppy. Puppies are always so submissive for her. Like I fostered before with puppies, and like I know there's never going to be a problem. Like she'll be playful and fun and really sweet. But if there is like another like reactive dog, like that we meet at the dog park or something like that, that's when I'm like, oh.
Sure, yeah. So she's kind of like the I know what you're talking about. Sure. So in that moment, you're not so much caring about her being friends with that reactive dog. It's just coexistence.
Yeah, like I don't want her to like attack when they're like having a standoff.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like.
Right.
And I guess I've kind of like avoided bringing her to the dog park, which I shouldn't have like stopped. But like I've avoided because I'm afraid of her having like another interaction like that.
Sure.
And I know we have to get them used to it, but yeah, I just want to make sure I can like control her in that instance if that were to happen.
Sure. With the reactivity stuff?
Yeah.
So what I would do is if you know there's places where she would become reactive, is I target them. Okay, so like let's say, you know, most of my reactivity cases, it's just blatant reactivity. Like it's just like, we're gonna get it, right?
Yeah.
So what I tell the dog owners, most people cross the street to avoid the problem or whatever, is I tell them, now that you have the tools, you always wanna, you know, allow it to happen so that you can practice shutting it down. So I'm not sure if I went over this with you, but stepping aside, shortening the leash, and just letting it pass, right?
Yeah.
And the reason why I do that is because, let's say you turn the corner one day and reactive dog, right, is since you've done it 100 times, you know, stepping aside, when you're in the moment, the first thing you're gonna do is that sequence of shortening your leash and jacking up the collar, because you've done it time and time again, so you're just creating rehearsed response.
Yeah.
Okay? So that would be the one thing is you're just, when you confront things, you're putting yourself in the position where I'm going to see reactivity.
Yeah.
To practice for when you would see a reactivity in like a dog park setting. Because I already know how to shut this stuff down. So like if I went to the dog park, I'd walk in, I go, okay, this is about Pepper, okay, cool, I'm going to be at 85, 90 already. Because I know she's not going to die. You know, like it's just like muscle contraction. And I don't need her to be friends with that dog. I just need her to not reciprocate. Okay? So I walk in with that mindset because I've already done this, Lord knows how many times.
Right.
But for my owners, you're having to just learn this stuff, but not just learn it, but also apply it and see like, oh, that does work.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing is people get scared of like, what if I screw my dog up? Or what if I can make things worse? Which can happen. I've tapped the collar and the dog does attack.
Yeah.
Everybody goes like, oh my God, it stops. I go, no, use the collar to make the attack stop.
And then at that point, should she come back to my side?
So what would most likely happen is if you did a harsh correction, she would most likely run to you. But it's not a recall. So I don't praise it.
Yeah.
Okay, because then if like, let's say, I had a client of mine at Oz Park, her dog and another dog went after a tennis ball at the same time. And it triggered into a fight.
Yeah.
And she just 127 on her model, 127 continuous, and her dog yipped and immediately 180 out of the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And then she's like, was that right or wrong? I'm like, no, you're correct. I'm like, because your main concern is just stop the fight.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, but her dog opted for a return. She didn't take the hit and go like, okay,
Yeah.
And went back. She was like, oh my God.
Right.
And it was such a harsh hit that she opted for the return to be cautious.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not what we wanted. What we wanted was just get out the fight.
Yeah.
Okay? So it's not technically wrong, but it's not right either.
Mm-hmm.
I just need her to stop the behavior.
Right.
But it's so harsh that she's going to opt for a recall most likely.
So even if we just like go to the dog park, if I like venture back, she typically is guarding the door. Like when she'll
sure.
play,
Mhm.
play, but when a dog is approaching, she goes straight to the door and she's in front of their face.
Mm-hmm.
And like it's rude. I think it's rude that my dog does that.
Mhm.
It's her guarding thing, Like, should I be immediately like?
Yeah, so you can stop anything you don't like.
Yeah.
So what that would be is, you're at the dog park and you see Pepper being Pepper, right? She's at the gate because someone's walking in. I don't say anything. 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, and she runs away,
Yeah.
right? So you're just teaching her, don't go to the gate when someone's entering,
Yeah.
right?
But but that doesn't mean she has to come to my side. Like, I shouldn't keep doing it unless she comes to me.
Sorry.
Is it okay if she just like leaves?
No,
Needs some
fine.
water.
I've been talking all day.
No, go ahead.
All right. So,
I know that happens to me too. I'm like,
and now it's so weird to cough, because of everything.
oh, I know. Don't worry.
So in that case, because let's say she was really intent on guarding the fence, and you have to go to like an 80 or 90, right? Because she's so zoned in on the behavior, that's not uncommon, but you would most likely get her to return to you. I ignore her, because that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
I just wanted her to back away from the gate.
Mm-hmm.
But since you went so high, because you had to, she's going to opt for that behavior.
Right.
So then once she learns it, what I would expect to see is after so many visits to the dog park is, one, she won't guard the gate anymore, or two, you could be at 30 and it'll deflect her and she'll go back to coexisting with dogs and forget about the gate without returning to you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but if you praise her, a good girl, she's gonna think that that was the behavior she was looking for.
Right.
Thank you.
And I actually I feel a little bad, but like, not really, but like I really don't praise her a lot because I think I told you before, if we're like on a walk and she's doing really well, for instance, and I say like, oh, good girl, she'll like immediately start like moving ahead of me in like praise.
Oh yeah,
Or I'm
because of
like-
the excitement, yeah.
I feel like I can't praise you, I guess.
Right, now, let's say you did praise her and she's like, oh my God, yeah, my job's done. And I remote her because that's what I would do. So like if I tell a dog to sit, right, and they go, good job, right?
Yeah.
And then I go, hey, thanks. And they go, nope, keep your butt down. Good job. The dog gets up. Nope, right? And I keep repeating that, the dog goes, oh, wait a minute. When you praise me, it doesn't mean I can get up. It just
Right.
means I was doing a good job. And the next thing you know, the dog will hold the sit, take the praise, and not get up anymore.
Mhm.
Okay? So I rarely, if ever, praise dogs.
Yeah.
Okay? Because the reward is technically the removal of negative.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? In the dog world, they don't praise each other.
Right.
It's just expected. If they do something that's out of line, they get corrected, and then, either that resolves it or the dog reciprocates and they fight over whatever it is they're fighting for and somebody wins.
Yeah.
Okay? Which can go up to the point of death. You know, that's dog, that's primal thinking.
Right.
They don't praise each other going like, hey, good job on like, you know, not barking at the fence.
Yeah.
They just, if another dog, and I've seen this where there'll be barking at the fence and another dog come in and bite them. And they go, leave the fence alone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and sometimes it triggers a fight because then this dog's like, well, don't tell me what to do. That's normal, right? In our world, it's not normal because we have, you know, we're civilized. But in their world, they're very primal. They establish their own rules, and depending on who's at the park and stuff, the rules may vary. Okay.
Right.
So at least when they're with a human, we can be consistent. So you can say like, nope, you're never going to bark at the fence, and I have the means of making you stop.
Yeah.
Okay. So don't worry about the praise aspect of it. If you do praise her and she gets out of line, you just correct it like it would be anything else.
Right.
Okay. You're not doing anything mean, because that's what someone would think. They're like, oh, but I feel bad because if I praise them, then they make the mistake, and then I have to correct them. I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. Because then they have to learn to take the praise and not get too excited that they make mistakes.
Yeah.
Okay? Other questions?
I think really, I guess I went hiking over the weekend, but I just like, there's other dogs that were like off leash, but I just like don't know how if she would really listen, like being in the woods, like.
Oh, sure.
come
Like
back.
yeah.
And that just still makes me like really nervous because we had like done that, so.
Sure. So when it comes to that stuff, one, what I tell everybody is, I've trained dogs for a living. These guys are learning to train dogs and all that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Since I've done this for so long, shit happens.
Mm-hmm.
And if a dog takes off running scared because someone like set off a firework or something, I already go like, all right, get over here, right? Whereas most people panic.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I actually just had this happen to another client. Her dog took off after, I thought she picked up something. Took off after a child, okay, barking at the kid because it startled him or whatever. And she panicked. And she's like, I chased my dog down as opposed to using the remote. And I said, yeah, like, technically you would have wanted to use the remote to learn that moment, but you panicked, which everybody does.
Yeah.
But now it served as like a learning moment for the owners. Like I jumped to the collar, not physically trying to catch my dog.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happened.
Oh, she can outrun me.
Oh yeah, no, for sure. Yeah, dogs can outrun anybody.
Oh my God, yeah, I've been there.
So, but it takes time, you know, of practice and rehearsing and stuff. So we get all the foundation in, she knows the skill sets, but then I have to work with you to get you comfortable, right, with what you're able to do. And I've had people whose dogs are great obedience-wise, and I'll tell them, like, your dog is off-leash reliable, your dog is great, right?
Yeah.
But the owner will say that they're not comfortable yet. And I'll say that's fine too, because it takes practice, you know, before you get there. I had a lady, I remember when I trained her dog, she did 9 classes with me, and her dog was very reactive, and she had to climb like flights of stairs and stuff to avoid people, so because she didn't want to go in the elevator. So then we did the training, and then within I think a week or 2 weeks of classes, she was able to start riding on the elevator or whatever.
Yeah.
But then at the end of the program, her dog was great progress, 180, not reactive, blah, blah, blah. And I told her, hey, your dog's off-leash reliable, like you've done a really good job. And she was just like, I would never have this dog off-leash because I just don't trust him. And then fast forward a year, she came to one of my pack walks in Lakeview, and then she was like, hey, and she had him off-leash.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa, like what's, and I remembered, and she's like, hey, yeah, she's like, a lot of progress, he's got dog friends now,
Yeah.
I trust him off-leash and all that stuff. But it took her longer than the 9 classes that she had with me to get to that point, because she had to practice and have success over, you know what I'm saying, to see like, oh wow, like my dog, his reactivity is under control, and like we'll come when I call him, and we'll do this and we'll do that. That she was able to like do more, but it took more time for her. And I get some clients that'll do 1 or 2 classes and already be walking their dog off leash because of the confidence.
Do you think she's ready for that now?
Well, they do that with her here. Right now she's in the long leash stage, which means she'll have like the 30-foot leash dragging, and they're doing everything, the sit, stay, come, all that stuff with the leash dragging. Okay, and they've also been putting her into the pen where they're.
I saw that.
Yeah.
That was really cool to see.
Yeah.
I was like, is that really my dog? I don't know.
Yes.
Where
So,
all the dogs are like just like sniffing her and she's like unfazed.
yeah, but here it's obviously very structured, it's very strict. So for you, it's a little bit different because of that relationship, right? But she's been through it, she can do it, but now she needs to learn to do it with you. Now, the main thing that I will say is we want to get that heel under control.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm positive it's most likely just that number.
Yeah.
Because that's what sets the foundation for everything else. Okay, so if an owner is struggling with their dog just walking with them, then I'm like, then you're gonna struggle with your dog listening and everything else, right?
Yeah.
So I would suggest, if the highest one was 30 or whatever, then the rest of your walks you start at 30 and you work your way up. And if you start to notice, wow, once I go to 45, that's when Pepper is perfect. Then her number is 45, and then you just start at 45.
Yeah.
And then you should start noticing a big difference because now there's no time to play.
Yeah.
There's no time between 30 to 45. It's 45.
Yeah.
Okay? Other questions?
If there is a time where I'm like, we're on a walk and like, I think it is fine for her to like say hi to the puppy instead of her just being on my side, like, how do I like give her the like okay to
Break.
just break and
Correct.
then
Yeah, and you'd want to do that with her in a stationary position. So, when you come to a stop, auto sit,
yeah,
wait, break.
yeah,
Because if you walk up to the puppy and you say break as you're walking, the next time you approach a puppy or something, she's going to assume you're going to release her and she's just going to walk off. So
Yeah,
having that
so
stationary
she's there.
pause to add some distinction, to clarify for her that we're going from here to
to
this,
the next step. Yeah.
exactly is what helps her get that concept better.
Okay.
Okay, other questions?
No, but just a comment. I did practice like duration with her just like chilling in the park and she did really well.
Good.
She didn't make us peep. We were like, stop her even here because it was like dark out. So we're like,
Sure.
she's just hanging out and she would normally be like pretty good, but she may like whine a little bit and like she did really good.
Okay,
That was
excellent.
impressive.
And what were you doing, place or down?
Down.
Down? Okay, cool.
Down. Yeah.
So when I met you last, I know we did heel. I think we covered down,
Yep.
right? Was there anything else that we covered in that session?
No, we just mainly were like doing the heel a lot, and like 'cause with her prey drive, like
Sure.
that's but we were like focusing.
Okay, so to override prey drive, number.
Yeah.
I have another dog that I'm working with right now. He's actually a daycare dog who's doing private with me. He's a
Yeah.
puppy actually. He's only 7-8 months.
Oh.
Oh, I think you may have responded. The picture, he's a German short-haired pointer.
Oh,
I put a picture and I said,
yeah.
Car doesn't make robots, it makes
Yeah,
humans.
I like that.
So that guy, right?
Yeah.
Walter. So we were at a park and he was very distracted by the squirrels, okay? And we went all the way up to 80 before he was like being super compliant and like doing everything the owner needed him to. And I did that to show her the point of working in a distracting environment.
Yeah.
So we've been working at Oz, but there's not been a lot of squirrels at Oz. And then we moved to Independence Park, so I had a client coming from New Lenox. So to make it easier for them, we went to Independence Park.
Oh.
And for Walter's mom, I was like, we can meet there, but there ended up being a lot of squirrels.
Yeah.
And something she was struggling with was like, how do I get him to listen in new environments? And I said, just the number. So then we went from like 30 something, which is like his typical, in the neighborhood range, to
Yeah.
80. And all of a sudden on 80, she's like, yeah, this is like he's being perfect now. I'm like, yes, because now you've made what you've said more important than the environment. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's almost always the level whenever you're struggling with anything. Okay. So for prey drive, same thing. If you're walking through like an alley of squirrels, right, and I'm at 30, you could be as high as 80, 90, 100, whatever, to get her to ignore the squirrels and do the task at hand. Okay. Other questions?
No, an alley of squirrels sounds like
I know.
personal hell. That sounds
There's
terrible.
a place I call Squirrel Alley in the South Loop. So it's not really an alley, but it's at Graham Park if you've ever been there.
Yeah.
Over by the walking lights, there's like that bridge that goes over, I think it's like the Metro, the Amtrak or something. And if you're going to approach the bridge, to the left here, there's like like a half wall, and then there's a bunch of trees here. And if you go down that path along the metro train tracks, whatever, there's usually tons of squirrels in that pathway. So I always call it Squirrel Alley.
The only thing worse than that would be bunnies.
Bunnies?
Yeah. Pepper would love to get one of those.
So what we're going to work on today is, so we have another duration command, which you've seen our dogs do all the time, which is place. Place is more lenient than the down. Down is very specific. It's this, right? Lay down, don't move. No sitting, no standing, or whatever.
Yeah.
Place is a little bit more lenient. It's just go here and don't move. So she can sit, stand, lay down. Doesn't matter. She just cannot leave off the perimeter of the place.
Yeah.
Okay? So I look at this command like for whenever you're going to be, maybe you're going to go to brunch with some friends and you want to bring Pepper along and you want to enjoy that brunch. You don't want to worry so much about what Pepper is doing, right? Now you could do the down, right? That's always an option because it's meant for extended use. But if she's in a down, it's very strict so that if she sits up or stands up, you'd have to correct it, right? So then to make it easier for the client, I'll tell them use something that's easier that gets the same purpose, which is don't move, but at least you don't have to be so worried about is Pepper laying down. She can sit, she can stand, she just cannot step off of the area itself, okay? So like some clients will carry a towel or a blanket, even I've had people use yoga mats in their car, and they'll go and they'll just plop it down. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just something big enough so that she can lay down and she has a perimeter, okay? So what helps the dog distinguish a place is like, for instance, this elevated dog bed here separates it from the floor, right? So the same thing if you use like a kitchen mat or a yoga mat or whatever, because it has a perimeter, that's what helps her associate, oh, I go here and I don't move, okay? So I always refer to it like when I was a kid, if my mom was having friends come over, she'd say, Jesse, don't embarrass me, go to your room.
Yeah.
So I don't care what you do in your room, read a book, do your homework, play video games, whatever, just stay in your room, right? That's the same thing here, where it's like, all right, Pepper, like, go here, and I don't care what you do, sit, stand, or lay down. She could even chew on a bone or whatever. She can go to sleep. It's just don't step off of the area. I don't care what you do, but just don't step off of the area, okay? And it could be anything. And I had a client once that used a really big area rug. And they said, can that be placed? And I said, yes, it's just a really big place. So now the dog can literally walk around, all of that area because it was big enough, but there was a perimeter.
Right.
But the same rule would apply where the dog could not step off of the area rug because that would be breaking place.
Okay. She's learned the word place, but not in that format. So that's really good to know. And I kind of like to know that for, like you're saying, like going out to brunch or something outside and be able to, like, I mean, sometimes she does sit up and then, like, go back down. But she's in the same place. But I would normally, like, correct her and be like, back.
Correct. You have to correct that because down is very specific. And the one thing that I do is, like, if I down a dog, I'll just step on the leash so that they can't even get up in the first place. It'll make your life easier. And I step on it, the leash, like right here, to really limit her range of motion. Otherwise, place is another option. So that's like, okay, cool. Like, I don't have to be so attentive to you as long as you're within this area. Okay? So let's go ahead and I'll have you take Pepper and just like walk with her a bit. Don't worry about heel or anything. Just go and pull her off. Okay. And you're gonna just circle around. And you're gonna stop. About right there is fine. Okay. And what you're gonna do here is you're gonna say the word place, and you're gonna start tapping with light leash pressure towards the placemat.
Place.
Tap, tap, right there. Good. Okay. Now here, what she does after the fact doesn't matter. Go ahead and start walking around. She's not supposed to move. And this is just like real simple, like distraction stuff. Like she's been on place for like hours. She's been fine. So what we do here. I mean, the weather's still everything today. So like we'll place Pepper and we grab dogs and transport dogs, we're moving them all over the place. That there's a lot going on to desensitize her that, hey, I can be here with all of this happening, right? So I kind of recreate like if you're at a restaurant and like bringing your food and all that stuff is she's getting used to that distraction and that movement.
Yeah.
Okay? So here, this is real simple. The best form of training is always applied training. And out of all the commands, it's the simplest one, which is usually why I teach it in the very beginning for most people, because it's easy for them to practice. Okay? Is that if you're going to transition this to a new object within the home, whether it be her dog bed or a blanket or a towel, it can be anything. Okay? But you would have to transfer the concept to that new object. Okay? So if I, grab a yoga mat and I place it down and I say place, she's just not going to think like, oh, okay, and go there. You have to use the leash and pressure to make her go there, and then she goes, oh, this is like the elevated bed at Jesse's place, okay? And I've had clients that you can have a dog bed in the living room, you can have a kitchen mat in the kitchen, and a mat in the dining room, and there are 3 different places within the home.
Yeah.
But she learns which one to go to depending on what room she's in when you send her. So if you're in the living room and you say place, Pepper will go to the one in the living room.
Yeah.
If you're in the kitchen, you say place, and you've taught her the mat is the place, she would go to the one in the kitchen. But you just have to teach these things respectively.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not going to just transfer right off the bat that way. But once you've taught it, then she'll learn to recognize the object as another place area.
Okay.
Okay. So then if you're going to use one like in your car or whatever when you're with your friends for brunch or whatever, you'd want to teach it first, outside of the context of the restaurant, so that when you go there, you're not sitting there trying to teach her at the same time what it is.
Right.
Okay, questions?
No, that's good.
So go ahead and tell her break.
Break.
Good, we're going to try that a couple more times. Good, go ahead and stop, and then pause for a moment, and place.
Place.
Yep, right. Very good. Break.
Break.
Do a couple more.
She just acts like she's such a perfect walker when we're here. So funny, Patrick.
She is. It's just need the right number.
Yeah.
Good. Slow to a stop. Good. Now on the heavy do here is when you place her, you're not going to move. You're going to just start remoting. If she doesn't move with the remoting, you'll still stand still, but you'll use a little bit of leash tension directed towards the mat to move her.
So don't drop the leash.
Correct.
Okay. Place.
Right, there you go. Good. So because most trainers when they teach place, will tell the dog to place and walk all the way to the placemat. And it annoys me.
Yeah.
I want the dog to just go.
To know.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can't have, that's not realistic every time.
To always be walking, correct, right? Like, you could be doing something over here and then decide, like, I need you not here right now, place.
Yeah.
And she would send, right? Now, realistically speaking right now, like, this would be what I would expect to send her from, which is about a 3 to 4 foot distance, okay? From any direction. But if you, in the home, were to decide, like, I need her to be able to send from across the room because sometimes I'm doing this and I don't want her there,
Yeah.
then you'd have to build her to that, okay? Because you have a new scenario. Right now, we've got the general idea where she's like, okay, place, I go here at this distance,
Yeah.
right? But even if we work with her on place here, from over here to go all the way to the end of the room, it's not the same as your house. It's going to be a different picture for her, right?
Right.
But you'll get there very quickly because she's already got the concept. You just need to teach her, like, you can do this from all the way over here
Yeah.
if needed, okay? And the way we do that is simply just increasing the distance with the place little by little until eventually you're able to send from the distance that you're needed,
Yeah.
okay? In most cases, people usually do like here. It's super rare. Like, I've had a client who could send their dog to place from wherever within the room, but they only had one place, and it was like in the living room. So they made it very easy for the dog. But they could send from upstairs, from downstairs, from the kitchen, whatever, place, and the dog would just go. Okay?
That's pretty good.
Yeah. But other than that, most people are like, yeah, I don't need that. I just need the dog to go there and not move. And the not move is usually what's most important to the client because they're going to have people come over, families over or whatever, or maybe like if their dog bothers them while they're eating dinner and they want to just have their own space, that's when they're using these things.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one is obviously like super simple. This is the easiest command to teach and use. Okay, it's just now a matter of teaching Pepper the new objects of whatever it is you're going to use for her place. Okay, we're going to do a couple of more with you being a little bit further away, same place in with the send, and then we'll move on to the next thing.
Okay. Oh, no. So,
Tap, 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 tap.
maybe we're not enough.
What's your number?
So I had it on 15 and now 20, am I right?
I go to like, I'll show you real quick. I'll show you how you find your number. Okay. So you were at 25. So you see how she's fidgeting here, right? That's
Totally.
25. There we go. So she made a mistake right now. I'm going to correct it. 1 second. So this is 45. There. Okay. So right there, now she's a little edgy. I went from 25 to 45. It was 25, 30 something, then like 38 and 45. Okay. And what I was testing for, so I confused her for a moment because I made her hop off. Okay. The reason why I did that was because I know if she jumped off of the placemat, it was because she's like, what the hell is this? I don't like it, right?
Yeah.
I made it very concerning that she broke obedience.
Mm-hmm.
Then I go, okay, now I'm going to reposition you because that's not what I wanted. Then she darted there, then she darted off, and then I tapped her again, she goes, yip, and she ran straight there, right?
Yeah.
So right now, the number of urgency in that moment was 45.
Yeah,
So what does this tell me?
that's her number for direct
Correct, then what else?
response.
Think back to earlier.
That's what she should be at, like for correction.
Possibly, right? Because right now, we're in an empty room
Yeah,
with nothing going on, right? And earlier you were telling me about leash walking. First she was great, now she's testing the boundaries, right? And I
yeah,
said it's all about the number. So then my mind goes to, well, if I was 45 in just the room, then
Yeah.
I might be higher in the neighborhood on a walk to when there's more things going on, okay?
right,
And this, the one drawback to e-collar is that you can get inconsistent numbers if you don't have good contact. Because one day, 18 could be the perfect number, but it could be a really good contact, right?
that's so true, yeah.
That's
I
why-
noticed that,
yes.
and walk something like,
That's why I teach everyone, I go, don't care about the number, care about the response,
yeah,
okay? So if I go out, and I've been doing this 10 years, and I remote her on 18, and I say, whoa, what was that? I go, oh, well, your working number is 18 today. And I could go out later in the day, and I do 18, and she's like, whatever.
yeah,
Then I move it up, and then at 45, she's like, what? Then I go, 45 is your number right now, okay?
Right.
That's why I do all this stuff preemptively. And me, myself, like, I escalated that very quickly. Like, that was just seconds of me going, okay, no, all right, here we go, right?
yeah,
Because I know to recognize, I already know how to read a dog that well. You're learning this skill,
yeah,
okay? So, once you get used to it, it's not even, you don't even think about it. Like, you just pop it on, or you find the number, and then you just start your day,
mhm.
okay? Questions about that?
No, that makes sense.
Okay, since we're done for these there. There we go. We're gonna try one more. Here, see how it's getting off there? Yep. Yep. Right there. Right, and you heard that little pine, right? So the pine is,
What
means
is her breathing? What
that,
is-
it was like a,
Yeah.
that kind of sound? Yes.
Whining.
Yes. Is, that tells me concern.
Yeah,
Okay, and I'm trying to get a balance of concern, but not so much power that she goes, that she's barking in discomfort, right?
yeah,
So it's you're making yourself more concerning, and what you say more concerning than what's going on in the environment, and that may be something that you get. Okay, ideally, I don't want barking or anything like that, barking and all that stuff and discomfort.
yeah,
But sometimes, like I have a dog right now who is really non-compliant with his owner, and will like pick up sticks and like take his time when he returns and stuff. And she'll be like at 45, and he's like, "Wah!" Right?
yeah,
And then he'll pick up a stick and chew on it. "Wah!" And he'll pick up another stick and chew on it, right? But he's not doing the behavior.
yeah,
And I'm telling her, like, your dog is super pushy. He's non-compliant, and you have to force the compliance. And unfortunately for her, she has to be higher, and he yips in the beginning until we get compliance, and then most likely her numbers will go lower, and then we won't get any yipping anymore,
Yeah.
right? Most dogs aren't that. Okay, that's one dog in like the last 6 months that I've had to work with. That was that personality type. Okay.
I will say, like, you're saying like the 1845 thing we were talking about earlier, like a walk the other day we were going on, and like all of a sudden she just starts kind of like acting up when we're about to like cross the street because there's another dog, and so I had it like 35, and she like yipped, and I was
Sure.
like, that seems like ridiculous.
Yes, and sometimes the yip can be a startle, right? So like, let's say she's really tuned in on like a rabbit, and your motor 35, it's out of nowhere. So the bark is more so a surprise bark.
Okay.
There's also frustrated barks. If the dog doesn't know what they're supposed to do, they'll start to bark and jump around a bit. And then there's the bark like, oh my God, that was uncomfortable.
Yeah.
You know, so it really, you learn what they mean according to the context, you know? So like right there,
Yeah.
you're like, come on, it was most likely a surprise bark, right?
Yeah.
So don't always think that whenever she barks in response to the e-collar, it's because of physical discomfort. Sometimes it can be she just got caught off guard,
Yeah.
okay?
Okay, and then like last week, I accidentally pushed the red
Continuous.
button. I was like, it went to like the emergency or whatever.
Sure.
number, and I was like, I am so sorry. Like, didn't mean for that.
Is it set high?
I can't remember what it's set at.
So I just put down the 0. Oh, I see. Which button are you using?
I had accidentally pushed the red one, which is like the emergency, I guess.
Correct, okay, I forgot that this one is kind of backwards. So yeah, so if you press the red one, it's the same intensity, it doesn't jump, it's just continuous.
Okay.
Okay, so you see how it says 0,
Yeah.
but it says C? So if it were to jump, which you can set, it would say 5 or 10. It would jump whatever levels it's set for. Okay.
I must have turned it down then since then.
Yeah, so right now
That was
this is just so to get that function. Oh, there it is. Interesting. So this is not happening here, so let me try to move on. Should I give it a number? Oh, jeez.
54.
Wow, that's a big jump.
Yeah,
That's your,
because
okay.
that's like emergency.
I gotcha. Come here, sweetie.
So I was
Gotcha.
like,
You have it
sorry,
set
like,
really high, okay. Wow, okay.
That's scary, I know.
All right, so what I would do here is when you have it set to one particular number or letter, that's when the jump applies,
Okay.
right? So I think you have yours, because I went to 4 and I think you went to 52, so it jumped 48 levels, okay? This would be, 2 continuous, this would be 50 continuous, because it's jumping 40 levels, because it's on C. If you
Okay.
go to M and C, now this is momentary and this is continuous, but there's no jump in the level.
So that's what it should be on that.
That's what I use.
Yeah.
I know some people use the function of the boost. I myself don't. I do everything through just the
I
dial.
think it's better to do it like the manual way.
Well, then you avoid the overly high number hit. It happens. I've done
Yeah.
it myself, like on accident when I've had it preset high.
Yeah.
I just remind myself to be more mindful of it. And then always checking, like if you put it in your pocket, if you don't lock it, whatever, you want to look at your number, because sometimes putting it in your pocket will adjust the numbers.
Yeah.
And always just checking and being aware of what the level is set at.
Yeah.
Anytime you put it somewhere and then grab it again, I always by habit just take a look and go, is it set at the same number? Because I've had clients go like, whoop, went up 30 levels, and they'll dip it back down, okay?
Definitely.
So we got the place command down, and we didn't cover the stay, right?
No.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna have you say heel, and I'm gonna have you just like kind of walk around the placemat and then come to a stop to get the auto sit, okay? And I'm gonna show you what to do from there.
Right? Yeah.
And slow to a stop. Very good. So, and I don't know if you noticed this, but right now, she's actually even better than she was earlier.
Yeah.
And that stop, when she stopped, she was like it was immediate, okay?
Mhm.
This was because of the higher number
Yeah.
and the higher hit from the emergency function, okay?
Right.
So this just proves to you, or just shows you the difference of like, oh yeah, if I'm struggling with something, it's because I'm not at the appropriate number, okay? So the way we utilize stay is most people say sit stay, down stay, or play stay. I don't. Play, sit, down are all implied with the stay, okay? The only time I use stay is if the dog is already in the behavior.
Okay.
Okay, so like right now, you're in what command?
Sit.
Did you say sit?
No.
What did you say?
Stay.
No?
No, I didn't say anything.
Yeah, you did. What was the command you said?
Heel. We're
Yes, you're in heel, okay? Everybody does that because you look at your dog and she's
heel.
sitting.
She's sitting. No.
But it's a heel, okay?
Okay.
Sit is built into the command,
Yeah.
okay? So when you stop, you should get an automatic sit. So here, if I move again, what would we expect Pepper to do?
She'll move with me.
Correct, right? So she's already in the sitting position, so human logic says I cannot tell her to sit,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Yeah.
Because she's already doing it. I could say down, okay? I could say down, but instead, if I go, I don't need you to lay down, I just need you to not move, stay. Because she's already in position, okay? So what we're doing is you're just do the word stay, and you're gonna walk with your right foot forward, just a couple of steps, and I'm gonna have you just hang with your arm back in case Pepper were to move with you, because it's gonna look very similar to heel, but heel is left leg, stay is right leg, okay? So you're gonna go stay, and with your right leg, move forward just a couple of steps, and then back again, good girl, wait a moment, if she gets up, tap, heel, left leg,
Okay.
okay? Go ahead.
So just stay.
And then right leg, right there, no wait. Then back to her side again. Okay, and a little bit of praise.
Good girl.
And heel.
Yes. So she knew that. Yeah.
And then you'll circle around and you'll come to a stop like in the middle of the room. There you go. Good. You see how she's kind of edgy?
Yeah, I didn't push the button because she was working on
This
it.
was all because of earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, now edgy doesn't mean bad, okay? But that's what's gonna override your environment.
Yeah.
Stay,
Stay.
right leg. Yeah. Okay, yeah, correct the sit. Yep, get your leash. Now here, correct. Now, stay,
Stay.
right there, hold, tap, tap, lead her back, tap, 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 tap. Good. And what I would suggest is when you grab from about here.
Mm-hmm.
So when you walk away, your arm for now is going to be like this to stop her. Okay?
Yeah.
Because what happened was there was a little bit of confusion because you did this first, right? Because you said stay, but then your body language said heel. So then she moves. Then you corrected her, and she's going to panic, and she's thinking heel, right? So we have to
She's
reposition.
Yeah.
Then you did it correctly, but then she's like, I don't know, I think I'm supposed to. So then we repeated, brought her back to general area. You're not going to say stay because you already said it once, but you're just going to walk off with that right leg first, like this, just in case she tries to move, you can stop her and tap her to keep her away from you, and then back to her side, good girl,
Okay.
okay?
Don't say stay.
No, because you've already said it once, but keep her hand where it's at, up, but so you let the leash stop. Yeah, so you want to keep
Yeah.
her leash, you want to hold it, because when you pull up, that's what's going to stop her, but since you let it go slack, now you're all the way up here.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's try that again. Right there, pause. Good, back to her side. And you're going to keep your leash how you have it, okay? Heel,
Heel.
and heel left leg, you did heel right leg. Good, stay.
Stay.
You ready? And then you're going to keep your leash how you have it, and step with the right leg. Roll, hold right there. Back to her side again. Very good. We're going to repeat that a couple more times, okay? Heel, left leg.
Heel.
Good. Good. And come go stop. Very good. Stay.
Stay.
Right leg. Very good. Back to her side. And then one more.
Heel.
Very good. So you see how she just jumps into it?
Yeah.
So now we're just transferring what we do here to you. Okay? And then you come to do one more final stay.
Stay.
Right leg. Good. And back to her side. Very good. So let's say Pepper was to be like laying down on her own time. Okay? And then you decide, I need you to not move.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Human logic says you can't stay down. I've had clients tell me that other trainers have told them if that's the case to take the dog off and then bring the dog up and then stay down, like if they're on the couch or something, to create the command, right? Instead, I just go, stay. Now it becomes that command, okay? So sit down place.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I get what you're saying,
Yeah. Sit down place stays in play,
Mm-hmm.
okay? Sit, go into this position, don't move, right?
Yeah,
Stay is, you're already in a position, don't move
Stay
from that
there.
position. Exactly. So if like Pepper were to be on her bed and you decided, I need you to not move, stay, then it would become an active place command and you would correct it as such after she, if she were to make a mistake or something like that.
yeah,
For practicing this, what I suggest is you're walking, you're practicing your heel, you come to a red light, you stop, she auto sits, stay, and then just step out and then move around her at the red light, but keep your leash short for now, okay? So that when you pull up, you can easily correct her, and then back her side, heel, when you're ready, almost that red light's green. The next thing I do is, like, let's say she poops or something,
yeah,
you can up and tap her into a sitting position, say stay, as you pick that up, right? Heel, walk, trash can, stay, keeping the leash in your hand, throwing it away, back to her side, heel, then you walk again, okay?
okay,
Because the best form of training is always applied training,
yeah,
okay? So like when they go to like Home Depot with them and stuff like that, one of Bree's things is every time she hits the end of an aisle, she'll go stay, and then look, and then come back, heel, and then move with her,
Yeah.
Because she's just forcing situations where she can employ it.
yeah,
But realistically speaking, like, in my opinion, stays like the least useful command, because most people would just say down or place,
Mhm.
right? They're usually putting the dog in position. This is the dog is already in position,
yeah,
okay? Questions about this?
no, that makes sense,
So now for your homework, you have heel, down, stay, and place, which only leaves sit and the recall to cover for the next time I see you.
yeah,
And then it's just practicing all those things all the time to transfer everything over to you,
yeah,
making it functional. Everything is functional already, it's just number,
yeah,
okay? So that's almost always what the issue is, it's just number, because as soon as you noted it, like, oh, now you're walking nicely, right?
Yeah.
But we made some
Yeah.
adjustments, okay? Questions?
How far away, can I practice with her doing this? I mean, I have
Right
a
now,
leash, but
I would keep the length of your leash.
Yeah.
The next class where we meet, hopefully it's a nice day, so we can be working outside.
Yeah.
You'll have that long 30 foot. And then I'm gonna show you everything on the long 30 foot so you can start practicing all that stuff.
Okay.
And getting used to it. Having a dog fully off leash is weird for a lot of people because there's no, connection.
Physical, yeah.
Yes, so then you're solely reliant on that e-collar to make things happen, okay?
That's the goal.
So then it's just practice, okay?
Yeah.
So apply this stuff, use the down, use the place, you can use it within the home and all that stuff. At this stage, you're still with the leash to give you a bit more control in case she makes a mistake,
Yeah,
okay?
okay.
Anything else?
I think that's pretty good. How do you think her progress is going?
She's doing good.
Yeah.
She's great, yeah.
Okay,
She does really well. She does great in the pack walk. She does great in the training walks. She does great in the pen and stuff. But it's just, obviously it's transferring
me.
the stuff to you.
It's me.
It's closing the gap. Because
Yeah.
obviously we do this all the time. Like for us, Pepper is like a great, she's very easily worked with.
Yeah,
But it's just getting you to understand the concepts and applying them and knowing how to correct them. Because we already know, like when I say stay, I move out with my right leg. When I say heel, I move with my left leg.
yeah,
It's built into me. I have a really hard time doing it incorrectly.
It's in your rhythm already.
Yes, but
Yeah.
for you, like, you're learning this stuff, and you're like taking a crash course into like, this is what your dog knows, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like buying a souped up car that can do all these things, and they give you a quick course, and
Yeah.
you're like, what can this car do again? You know?
Right.
So it's part of the process, but that's why, you know, practice is super important, application is super important. So this way, when you come back, I'm like, what are you struggling with? Like, I had a client that came today in the morning. We trained her dog a few months ago, but then she had to move to Columbus, Ohio, like
Oh.
at the very end of her program. So we never worked with her formally. But since she was in town, we scheduled her in, and she was practicing like the recall stuff, which was super important, but she didn't understand the other stuff. So I was like, okay, now then let's focus on that, because that's what you need to know.
Right.
Okay? Anything else?
When should I have my next one with you then?
Practice this stuff, and when
Yeah.
you feel that you got a good hang on it, you can schedule the next one. Because she's already gonna be approaching her day 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
Because the next class will be transitioning the recall and everything over to you, or transferring the recall to you with the long leash. And then it's like practice, right?
Right.
Get used to it, apply it and stuff like that. So then when you come back, they're like, you're like, this is what I'm struggling with still. Like,
Yeah.
I don't fully understand this, and then we teach the other part.
Okay.
But you got a good chunk of it now.
Yeah.
Okay?
We got homework, Pepper.
And I'll send you that video too, which goes over the recall. So if you watch that and you want to start.